welcome to Witchcast. This is our episode 2, and today we're going to talk about the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. And with me today, I have Kath, Lux, M, Rana, and myself, Jax. So everybody say hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Wait,
cool.
I forgot my intro.
You had an intro? I just did an intro. Would you like to go part 2 intro? Ready to go.
No, it wasn't anything exciting. It was just to stand there and go, "Unholiest of evenings to you."
Mac, put that in the beginning. Mac. Okay. So, all right. So everybody knows that the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is the new, I guess we should call it TV show on Netflix. Basically, it's a retelling, or maybe not a retelling, but it's based off of the comic about the same name. And many of us are going to remember the 90s version, which is Sabrina the Teenage Witch. This particular version is a lot darker. And actually, I thought it was pretty good. I don't know. Does anyone want to chime in? Who liked it?
I loved it.
I liked it.
I'm standing.
Can I just say, this might be obvious, but if you've made it this far, just know spoilers are incoming, obviously. So, if you don't want that, maybe watch the show and then come back.
Right, yeah.
What's terrible about spoilers?
Yeah.
Yeah, good call.
Spoiler alert.
Yep.
Okay. So I think that one of the things that I noticed immediately is a bunch of witches freaked out after this show is released. One of the things that people like to say is that it's not representative of their particular practice. They called it bunk. I mean, all different sorts of names. And I wanted to address that pretty much off the bat, which I think a lot of witches can sit the F down. Because all I'm saying is just because it's not representative of your practice does not mean it's not representative of another practice. Because let's be honest, all of our practices are different. And yes, some witches do have the devil, either the witch father or the actual Abrahamic Satan figure in their practice. So, I don't know, sit down.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say other than a lot of people just need to chill.
Yeah. Well, and another thing too is they said stuff everybody always says it's so Hollywood. I'm like, well, yeah, duh. Yeah. It was made as can we be honest? If it was real witchcraft, what would you show? Would you just show somebody meditating?
Somebody sitting in their room
by
themselves? No.
And so
get out the house.
And something I really liked is that they actually had some stuff that's pretty legit. You had the what was it, the bath? You remember how she got in the bath to cleanse herself, and it was with herbs and salts and things. And then you had and then the smoothie. Remember she had the weird smoothie.
Canis.
Weird toxin cleanse smoothie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Your body's a temple.
Right. And then didn't they have some puppets? They had the entering your name in the book. Some of that is pretty legit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It actually is. It just doesn't apply to every practice, but whatever.
That's correct. And we've got to be tolerant of other practices. Plus, let's like Jack says, let's remember it's a TV show. So take it with a grain of salt and see the entertainment in it and have fun, because it's a completely fun show. It's much more mature than the original Sabrina the Teenage Witch show. It's scarier. There were jump scares. I was scared.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
could get
so
away
much
with whatever
fun.
on Netflix.
I think
It's so much
people
fun.
are really upset because the cat wasn't talking. I think that's where most of the anger is coming from.
I liked that the cat wasn't talking.
I'm just kidding.
He screamed like my cats do. I love it.
Salem only had one line, and I'm so pissed.
Yeah. Why didn't Salem talk more, guys?
Okay, but let's be honest though, I remember Salem being a little problematic in the 90s version. I mean, he was funny a lot of the time, but there were some things that he said that weren't okay.
That's true.
I won't even try to dispute it.
Speaking of, I like that. All right, I don't know how well versed everyone is with the original show, but I was really ridiculously obsessed with it. So in the original show, Salem was a a witch, or I think they called them Morlocks in the show. I don't remember 100% on that. But he was a witch who had done something wrong, and this was his punishment, to be a familiar for however many hundreds of years. And in here, in the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, he's a familiar. And I believe they said they were like hobbits or something, or not hobbits, maybe that's the wrong term.
A goblin?
But like an imp or a goblin of some sort.
Goblins.
That then took the, you know, the shape of an animal to be your familiar. And it was a pact that you made with each other, whether it was, you know, whether it was, however the pact was made. I believe they had like a book of familiars that she could choose from, and she wanted a wild one.
Yeah.
But I liked that aspect. I feel like that was a little bit more, I mean, if you're a person who believes that your familiar is an actual literal creature, an animal, then for me, I feel like it's a little bit closer to the interpretation that nowadays witches have, that like real witches have.
Yeah, I totally agree.
A hobbit.
Oh my god.
Goblin from the Demonomicon? That's what she said. She said, I found a spell in the Demonomicon.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
But then it's a goblin, not a demon, so.
Oh, I thought it was a joke, and I was like, I don't understand. Yeah. Oh, okay. So one thing I remember specifically, do you remember there was kind of like a weird formatting with the show? And when I say formatting, I mean cinematography. Like when it started off, wasn't it kind of like fuzzy on the edges? And it kind of looked almost like, it looked like they were trying to emulate different types of horror movies. Like when it first starts off, you see Sabrina and she's talking about, didn't she analyze zombie films? And then like, you just see all these different types of like horror movie genres are kind of represented. Like I remember at the very end, you have spoiler at the very end. What was it? The Lilith, right? She's narrating, and it's very much like an Edgar Allan Poe, like telling a story. She's breaking the fourth wall because she's telling us a story, and I thought it was so interesting how they like. I mean, it was a little confusing at some times, but I thought it kind of worked. I don't know. How'd you like the cinematography?
I did too. I liked it. It was very dreamlike in some places, which I liked.
Yeah, I don't know. I really liked it though.
You're like, look, it's good. End of story. End of podcast.
It looked pretty.
We're done.
I don't know. Time to go home.
Oh, and that's another thing I just remembered. This is the same universe as Riverdale, the CW show Riverdale. Yeah.
I don't watch Riverdale.
Oh, I don't either.
It's pretty bad.
I'm pissed off at Riverdale because Bughead was supposed to be Ace, so they can F off.
Jughead? Isn't his name Jughead?
It's Jughead, I think.
Bughead.
Oh, what did I say?
He said Bughead.
Oh, Jughead. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Oh, I had a comment on the horror aspect actually.
Go for it.
Yay.
Okay, so one thing I was reading, because I'm obsessed. They made a comment that they were putting a lot of different elements of different horror movies that the creator had loved, or just paying homage, and like there's a whole episode that's kind of like The Exorcist.
Yep.
Definitely can tell. So I like their mixture, but some of the stuff they did was weird.
Yeah. No, but that's what I was trying to say. Like they used all these different like what would you call it? I don't know the words for these things. They use all different kinds of like film genres, and you could see how it was shot differently. And I think that you could either make the argument that it was confusing and bemuddled, or you can make the argument that it was effective. And personally, I love the horror genre. I thought it was effective. I loved it, every single one. And that specific episode you're talking about with the exorcism, I noticed it too, and I was like, yes, get it.
And I like that it's interesting, and it sets it apart. I mean, it's a WB show, or sorry, look my age. It's a CW show for the most part, even though it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
So I mean, it does kind of set it apart from what you normally see on there.
Yeah, for sure. Like I always find that they're mostly like teen shows that are just like, I don't know, just like bad representations of high
pretending
school drama,
to be grown up.
I guess. Yeah.
Right.
They're like 30 years old and just like, yeah, I don't know.
So what are some of the things that you didn't like about it?
Oh boy.
I had a really hard time getting into it initially because it felt like one of those like dumb teen shows.
You just thought it was slow.
Yeah, but it was just the first episode, like the first like maybe like 3/4 of the episode. I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't do this.
Yeah,
But
I
then
felt like
it
some
really
of the
picked
acting was
up.
stilted. Yeah, I felt like some of the acting was stilted too, especially some of the scenes at the very beginning between Sabrina and Harvey, which, by the way, I
Yes.
don't like.
Don't get me started. I hate Harvey.
Oh,
I hate
okay.
him in the old one.
Well,
I hate him
Oh,
in
and I'm
this
over
one.
here in love with him. Dang it!
No, false. You're incorrect.
We're
Oh,
not.
God.
I lied.
You're gonna be in the corner, Lex.
Nah, I like
That's
Bye.
my mommy.
I'm over here with my multi-shipper butt.
No, Harvey's awful.
Yeah, I think that a part of the reason why I didn't like it is because there was like a lot of focus on him on the first episode.
Right.
Now it's like this guy's
Love the actor, not the character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't look at him. I'm sorry. I have a small
Can't
preteen.
look at him.
Well, I can't look at him without seeing that stupid kid from Austin and Alley, because that's who that is.
Austin,
Oh, and I hate that kid.
I loved him. I was gonna marry him.
Listen, when you've got like a 4 or 5 year, 6-year-old shoving that shit down your throat, you just can't. Oh, I did it again. I'm sorry.
What did you do?
Get in the corner.
So one thing that, like, I don't mean to, this is not lighthearted. One thing that I really, really didn't like, and I actually didn't notice it the first time until a friend pointed it out to me. Do you remember that point in where Sabrina, she ends up hanging the Weird Sisters? And it's because of the hazing that they're doing to her. But what I didn't like about it is I really honestly, she basically, she lynches Prudence. And I'm like, that's really strong and inappropriate imagery, I think. Like, I didn't like that at all.
I agree.
I mean, I get the justice hurts, but...
Right. I just feel like too soon, okay?
It was in poor taste, and I mean, I
Yes.
get what they were going more for, like, witch hangings, but when you're sitting here looking at a person of color being hung, it's a slightly different connotation. Not slightly, I'm being devil's advocate. It's a completely different connotation. Doesn't matter anymore that the show's about witches. It becomes this other thing, and it's inappropriate.
Yeah, you think somebody in the writer's room would have gone, you know what? This
maybe
might
not.
not. Yeah. But I guess nobody caught. I mean, I didn't catch it the first time. When I watched it the second time, I was like, oh, wait.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective, because like that's not really something that I clocked at all. Like
I didn't either.
I mean,
honestly.
obviously, like it's there, you know. Now that you say it, I'm like,
yeah. Now that you say it,
you
I'm
got
like,
a point there. But at the same time, like, yeah, when I saw it, I was just like, that's, you know, it's like a witch hanging motif that, you know, you see all over the place. So,
Right.
But that is an interesting perspective.
And the other thing is, though, is that there are other witches that you've seen hung, and I don't recall any other witches being a person of color. I mean, maybe I missed that.
And I don't think you see them being strung up either.
Yeah.
I think you just already see them hanging.
They're already hanging.
Yeah, that's actually true.
And then the one of the other things that I really didn't like, I understand it though, because I think what they're trying to do with what do they call it, the Dark Coven or the Black Coven? I forget what they call it. Coven Night. There it is.
The Church of Night,
Yeah, with the Church of Night, I feel like it's clearly supposed to be the Catholic Church just swapped. So it's supposed to be, instead of Satan, it's the Catholic Church. You know what I mean? Or instead of Catholic Satan. And one of the things I didn't like is I feel like you really had the opportunity to show witchcraft. And I believe most practices that I've seen are very, they celebrate autonomy. They celebrate what it means to be a woman and womanhood and liberation. And I feel like it's really, it was a missed opportunity. They could have showed more positive representation of women, more autonomy, more power, and instead it was just like, oh no, it's run by a man and he makes the women eat each other. Like,
that's what Sabrina is meant to represent.
Yeah,
I feel like Sabrina's supposed to be that breaking point where like she's kind of leading the way into doing her own thing and being her own woman, in the face of these like sort of high magicians who are saying this is the way that things have to be.
Yeah. So you mean it's character development? So they're trying to show it become that.
I think so.
I see that, yeah.
But see, That's something I didn't like either, because I didn't like the way it ended. To me, it harkened back to 1984 and why I hate that book. I'm sorry. I hate that book. I hate that book. I hate the end. It's the end. You go through all of that and you live with that with him and with Sabrina in this case. And you're by her side, and not all the time. I didn't agree with her always, but like you're just like you go through the struggle with them, and then at the end they just give in. And I get it, why, but like why go through all of that and then just go into the fold anyways.
I feel like Sabrina, because there's going to be like another episode and then like a season 2, I would assume.
Yeah.
So I feel like with
there's
Sabrina,
probably.
I feel like with her giving in or whatever, or like putting her name in the book, that was her kind of being like, well, I'm going to infiltrate it like from the inside because now I have all of this extra power.
I don't know. I don't like that she put her name in the book. I thought it was better that she was resisting.
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed that she did, but I kind of get where you're coming from. Like, I don't know.
And not just that, but speaking of womanhood and the power of women, not just that she gave in, but that another woman talked her into doing it.
Right? Gender traitor. Just saying.
It's
kind of so disheartening.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's some missed opportunities, I feel like.
Very.
I mean, I do like the idea of like, oh, like maybe she'll infiltrate from the inside though, but at the same time, like I was kind of disappointed. I was like, oh man, like I thought she was just gonna like, do something really badass, but it's like,
find a new path.
I do like though. Oh, so go ahead.
No, go.
Okay, so I do like though that it doesn't show Sabrina as like a frilly fluffy bun, right? Like she actually enjoys some of the darker sides.
Yeah,
like
true.
that's something.
She kills the one weird sister. Literally kills her.
I mean, she did think she could bring her back.
Yeah, she did know, but she had like she did not care. Like she was not hesitating.
She was like, let's do this.
She liked it.
No, yeah, she did. And then the hex or at the very beginning to the principal, he was all for that.
Yeah.
I would be
forgot about that actually.
That guy.
That's vicious. I'll tell you what. I don't like spiders either, but
yeah,
that was awful.
What are some other things? Oh, another thing I kind of didn't like. So you remember when Sabrina works with the Weird Sisters and they bring in the bullies and they basically turn, I don't know, I felt it was homophobic. They kind of used their own homophobia against them, and I see what they were trying to go with it, but I felt really uncomfortable and I thought it was just this gay panic. Like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see the gay panic. We don't need to show themes from the 90s, right? That was all 90s. And I just feel like they didn't need to.
Absolutely. You know what that reminded me of? Here I go showing my age again. Heathers.
Yeah.
Where they, with the jocks and everything, and then they get them all in these compromising positions.
Yeah.
That was
right.
The whole thing was I didn't really like it either. It was uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Especially when you find out later that one of those guys actually is or maybe definitely has a thing for his friend. And it's like, okay.
I didn't like that.
Yeah, so now we're shaming him and outing him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like the out. And I like how, well, okay, I was going to say I like Hilda? Helga? Yeah. I want to call her
Hilda.
It's Hilda. It's Hilda. I knew that. I kind of don't like Hilda. She's kind of annoying, but for the most part, I like her more than some other people on the show. But I didn't like the outing at all.
Yeah.
Poor taste.
Yeah, it was like almost used like against him, and I don't know. It just was like, that's not right.
What's even worse is she used it as a defense for Susie, but like, how dare you?
Like, right.
Oh, but Susie, I love Susie.
Oh my God, Susie. Great. I stan her.
Mm-hmm. Who's the cousin?
Ambrose.
Yeah.
I love Ambrose.
Yes.
Ambrose
is the best
my favorite.
Yeah, he's the best.
He's my favorite too.
Oh, but I like what they did with that. They used Ambrose instead of Salem as the one who committed. What did he do? He infiltrated like the Vatican.
Vatican.
Blow it up.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. That's amazing. Okay, I'm scared.
I really liked that character actually, and I'm really glad that they did that instead of the cat. Like I was totally joking in the beginning. I'm really glad that they didn't have a talking cat.
I love him so much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my favorite.
A talking cat, like we already had that. I don't think we needed it again. Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked what they did with his character a lot.
Yeah. I want more
I just like the way he
Ambrose.
says
Cousin. Yeah. What's another thing? Oh, and then obviously, if we're going to talk about the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, we also have to talk about the lawsuit with the Satanic Temple.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
let's.
Yeah.
I just read up on this before this podcast.
Yeah.
What is his name? Lucian Graves, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who was I don't know if he's the head of it or just like an important figure or whatever, like in the Satanic Temple in Salem,
Mm-hmm.
was quoted as saying that like basically like we don't want this, we're not going to like let them use this symbol for their like satanic panic, which I felt like that was a bit much. I do agree with like the lawsuit because I feel like it was inappropriate for them to take that artwork and just not credit the Satanic Temple at all.
Yeah.
And they did settle for $50 million.
Good.
As well as additional credits. I guess Netflix is supposed to like add the credits to the original artist at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and I was like, hell yeah. But then at the same time, I like read the quote from the Satanic Temple and I was like, okay, like that's a bit much. Like I don't feel like it's like this huge satanic panic fiction. Like,
right.
He was like up in arms about it.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I was just like, honey, we were with you until the very end. You just be quiet. Like, it was a copyright issue for me. If I was an artist and someone bought my artwork and you know what I mean? Like, and I wouldn't want it to be used for things outside of what I was selling it for. Or on the flip side, if I'm the person who bought that artwork, I'd be furious if someone tried to take it and then make millions of dollars off a TV show of something I commissioned and paid for myself. Like, I totally get from a copyright perspective. Like, it was really inappropriate.
I agree. What do we think about it being how to phrase it? Maybe a misuse or misrepresentation of the religion itself.
I don't think they ever claimed to be Satanism.
Right.
I don't think they ever claimed the religion to be that.
Right.
So I feel like it was fine.
Yeah.
Personally, but that's not my path.
Yeah. Because I've seen a few arguments for that too, that it was very disrespectful to the religion. I mean, but I've seen it about the show as a whole in general. So, as a whole in general. Okay.
But I mean, like, when was the last time you saw something about like Christians or Catholics that wasn't irreverent? Like that happens all the time. Like I find, and I mean, like, I understand, like, I feel like Satanists are probably fighting more stigma, but at the same time, like, they did not come out and say, hi, I'm Sabrina and I go to the Church of Satan. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Correct. Yeah, they I don't recall anyone ever saying they were Satanists. So
right.
They never explicitly said it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. They had me at the copyright issue, but otherwise, I think it's just sit down.
Getting too panicked.
Yeah. And, honestly, I don't think it's going to cause anything that was near, what was it, the 90s or the 80s was Satanic Panic? It was 90s, right?
80s.
It was 80s?
It was like late 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The height of D&D.
The height of D&D. So we're done talking about Sabrina. Now we're going to talk about Critical Role.
How do we feel about Miss Wardwell?
Lilith? Lilith?
I don't know.
I love that actress.
Whatever.
Yeah. Wait, you're talking about Lilith, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I absolutely love that actress. She is huge in the horror genre. I'm so happy they got her. She does amazing. Like, you're doing amazing, sweetie. Keep at it.
I love her.
I was just excited to see Missy from Doctor Who.
That's right. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, she did that.
Representation.
Yep. Oh, the one thing I'm gonna say. Okay, first of all, I'm vegan. Yeah, I said it. I don't like that she killed her freaking bird in the end.
I'm so mad at that.
Yeah.
I was like, that's your familiar. You don't touch your. I mean, come on. Like,
I thought.
What did he ever do to her?
Mean.
He served her faithfully, and she murdered him. So no points.
He's kind of a jerk, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, mother of demons, I guess, but
rude still though.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. As soon as she killed him, I was just like, no, rude, don't like.
Like,
Done
why
with
would you do that? Sit in the corner.
He was her magic mirror on the wall, though. He basically was like, but isn't that what Sabrina's doing? And she was upset.
Yeah. So wait, so as far as like I don't know what you say, like a plot wise, so why is Sabrina so important?
She's half witch, half mortal, so we're supposed to relate to her.
Her dad was like a big deal.
Yeah,
oh,
but
you mean like within the show?
yeah, but like, okay, but who cares? Like, wouldn't a full-blooded witch be more powerful? Or I guess not, because it seem like they don't have the capacity to love, or some of them don't.
Yeah,
I think some of them have become jaded over time.
Okay, because then you see Zelda. Zelda clearly loves Sabrina.
Yeah. So
And I mean, she steals a baby in the end. Like,
yeah, that was really random to me.
We failed Sabrina. Let's steal the baby.
I love how Hilda was like, "I'm moving out."
Oh, I love
that. I can't stay here with you.
She's like, sister, I stole a baby, and she's just like, I'm gonna leave the room. Okay, bye.
Bye for good.
It's like she didn't even actually hear it. She was too excited.
What did she say though when she walked in? When she first saw the baby, she was like, "Did we conjure a baby or something like that?"
Yeah.
I loved it. It's like, are you making babies now?
Okay, so why did Zelda feel the need to steal the girl? Like, I didn't understand why it would matter if the priest had a son or a daughter. Why does that matter?
I was a little confused too, because
I
think
there
was kind of a
air.
Yeah,
right.
but like
I think there was like that kind of sexist overtone to the whole thing.
The boy would have been the heir anyway, so like that's why I was a little bit confused.
Not if she was firstborn, which she was.
So then she becomes the heir. I don't understand the problem.
But what they wanted it, okay, so I think
problem that he has.
Right, sexist problems TM. I feel like because the show is kind of like supposed to be, I think, in part a commentary on sexism. Like, they wanted the heir to be male. Where like, because like earlier on in the show, Prudence makes the comment that like the Dark Lord doesn't want the women to have freedom and power because he's a man. So I feel like that's what that was towards the end. They wanted the heir to be male.
Just following the church.
Yeah, and he did have that whole speech with the, he practically held the baby on high and everything. And
yeah, it was very Lion King.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't think it makes sense. I didn't like it.
I mean, I can't make sense of it now, but I could then.
Right.
I think when you're in it, it makes sense, but then when you have time to really reflect, you're like, okay.
Right.
What?
Yeah, because I was actually really confused. I was like, but like if the heir had to be a boy, like wouldn't Prudence be the heir? Like I'm just confused. Or is it because it's all like
illegitimate though.
Right.
But she can still take the power.
But like technically, couldn't she?
Yeah, no, I thought it was that she was going to, but he wanted legitimate children, and that's why he didn't want Prudence to take it, but she would have, yeah.
I feel like
and he didn't want her to know.
I feel like that's going to happen later.
That Prudence wanted it? Yeah, I think she really did.
Yeah.
I feel like she's going to try to snatch it.
Well, but I mean, did she want it, or did she want to get eaten? Because if she got eaten...
she wanted both.
She did really want that.
You can have both.
She's all for it.
I hated that, by the way. I hated the idea of like, a man telling women that they're gonna like have to eat each other to like, I really didn't like that.
Yeah, I don't think we were supposed to like it, is the thing.
Okay. Well, I didn't.
I feel like that's what the show was trying to do, is to be like, this is let me censor myself. this is like messed up.
Yeah.
Religious power.
Right.
Yeah.
Well then.
Definitely wasn't okay. And I'm so sorry, but that lady at the end of that episode of the feast, she was
Mildred.
Oh my god. She was not she was not okay. I mean,
so bad. Eat me.
Now that I think about it, Now that I think about it, though, I really do understand the idea of like using women inside of like a religious institution to monitor and to oppress themselves. Like that is a very powerful image. And so, yeah, I could see why it's used. I think it is a reflection of a lot of modern religions without naming them specifically. And yeah, so I guess I can kind of see why they did it.
Yeah, I see why they did it. It's still kind of like shocking, I guess, to watch. I don't know.
It's icky.
Very disturbing
I
episode.
couldn't eat meat for a week.
Good.
Not do it.
Don't never again.
I was perfectly fine afterwards.
You're lucky, Ambrose. You're lucky.
Lucky. Oh, yeah.
So, like, is Nick Scratch, like, what is his alignment? Is he neutral?
I hate his name. I'm sorry.
That's
wait, that's
Nick Scratch is aren't those
Scratch?
Aren't those names for Satan or the devil? Aren't those all
what?
Yeah.
Because it's Old Scratch and Mr. Scratch or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What? So it was purposeful. Yeah, it was purposeful.
But people think he's the devil.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. But people think that, really?
I guess I've heard it before.
Going off of the way he talks, the way his name is, what he thinks, how blasphemous he thinks things are, weird stuff like that.
He's so smooth.
He's definitely, name aside, he's definitely a better choice than Harvey Kinkle. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Yup.
I love him so much more.
Harvey, for sure.
Yup.
Oh my
But
God.
I don't want Sabrina to have him. I want to have him.
Yeah, true. So Sabrina can just go push aside.
You can have him.
I ship Sabrina with Prudence, so they can rule the church themselves. That's all I have to say.
Ooh, Prudence.
Oh, okay. I'd be down.
Yeah. Oh, and then another thing I was thinking. So they have the Church of Night. So are there other churches around? And if there are, do they all follow the same devil?
Well,
I
I
think Orwell mentions the Church of Shadows.
Yes, I was going to say they do have other churches.
Okay.
Don't know their doctrine, but
Yeah.
Do you think they eat people too?
Yeah.
I hope not.
I think they do.
They must be similar because when Miss Wordswell,
Mm-hmm.
when Lilith says that she was part of that church and her reasoning for leaving was that she had fallen in love with a mortal or a human, then that's, it's similar to what was going on with the Church of Night. Sabrina's father had to get permission. It was a whole thing, and people kind of looked down on her because she's half human. So they must have similar doctrines.
He talked about the same feast, kind of, too, so said that a similar feast where that coven was, so I don't know.
True.
I just want more covens.
Yeah. I want to see other covens. I think that would be interesting.
I wonder how annoyed and grossed out they would be, though. I honestly wonder their stance on the Church of Knights. Everything. I don't know.
They're like, yeah, the reason why we don't talk to y'all, because you're crazy.
Hey, you're crazy. You took it too far. That's
Excuse
it.
me. Bananas. Oh, one of the things I was really upset about, and this is silly, obviously they couldn't do this, but when we saw the devil for the first time, I wanted him to ask her if she wanted to live deliciously. I really wanted it to happen.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. Let's be honest. I honestly think The Witch is one of the greatest horror movies within the last 5-10 years. I love it so much.
It's really good.
Yeah.
They do mention the delicious thing in passing.
They
Sabrina's
do.
So many things that are delicious about being a witch. And then I'm like,
That was a nod. Yeah, you're right. That was definitely a nod to it.
It definitely would have been better coming from that goat creature out of the cave.
Ask her if she would like some butter and pretty dresses.
So, how did we feel about the Weird Sisters?
I love them. I hate them. I don't know what I feel.
Prudence.
I didn't see a need for them. I would have rather it just been Prudence.
You know what? That's fair.
Okay, but I love Dorcas. She's my redheaded baby.
Dorcas.
I'm kidding. I do see a little bit why they don't need to be there, though.
Why did they name her Dorcas?
I don't know, but
really
when Agatha looks at her and goes, "Yeah, well, Dorcas," and I just
I know that was her name in the comics.
Mm.
That's true.
But who knows why they picked that
such
name.
a weird name.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not weird, but it's not. I don't know.
How weird.
It's very old.
Yeah.
Well, the actress for Prudence said they're like 70 years old, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
That's right, because witches are they immortal or they just age very slowly?
They age slowly, I think.
Mm.
Yeah, like super slow.
Because Zelda and Hilda are like hundreds of years old, I think, but I could be wrong.
Oh, yeah. Their like teeth start falling out and stuff when they're on trial and they're stripped of their powers.
That's right. So how is Sabrina and Ambrose related? Like, I know he calls her cousin, but like, who is he?
Yeah, who's his parent? Who are his parents?
I want to know where he came from.
Because it couldn't have been her mother, because her mother's mortal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
they must have another sibling.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
They just don't ever talk about.
Right.
I wonder why.
It's the black sheep of the family. What?
Maybe they're also like excommunicated or something?
Maybe they worship God.
He calls them aunties.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
So they must have another sibling. So it's Hilda and Zelda were related to Sabrina's father.
Edward, yeah.
Okay, so
his last name is the same too, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a Scottish.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's got to be another sibling. Because at first I was just like,
Zelda stole him or something.
Zelda killed him?
Stole him?
Stole
baby. Yeah, there it is. The baby stealer.
Gotta be it. Stealing babies.
Or he's a love child that no one knows about.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, see, that's what I thought. I kept thinking that it was Edward's son. But then I was like, no, because then it would be sister, not cousin.
Maybe he doesn't
Would he know that?
I don't know.
Well, maybe
they might have tried to pass it off.
Maybe he belongs to one of the sisters.
Ooh, maybe.
No, because then they would call him the son, not.
Yeah.
What if it was a secret?
Maybe Zelda doesn't want anyone to know she had a kid.
No, Zelda totally stole this kid. I mean, heck,
yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Well, why would she want
to be like, I want that one?
Yeah, I guess she wouldn't have known that he'd have tried to blow up the Vatican. She stole him as a baby. So I feel like if she had known that he was just going to be a problem child, she would have been like, no, thank you, not in my house.
Yeah, maybe.
Well.
Someone mentioned earlier about the dream episode and like their true feelings, the sisters.
Oh yeah, their feelings toward each other. Oh man.
That's right.
That's a whole other fish to fry.
You want to talk about that, Lux?
Sure, okay.
Not to put you on the spot, you just seem to like have a handle on it.
I know it too well. Well, I guess when you go into their dreams, it's very different. I mean, Zelda's she's preparing. Well, okay, it doesn't start out. Spoilers for anybody who's here, you know, blah, blah. Okay, anyway. So, at first it's just normal, and then they have the Dark Lord coming, so they're cooking something for him. And because she chose a child from their church, he favors Hilda's vegetable pie, so she gets angry, kills her sister, thinks she'll come back, and when she doesn't, she just unravels, because she can't stand to, like, ever lose her sister, whereas Hilda's is she goes on a date with the principal. He turns out to be weird and sews her and Zelda together, and she hates being trapped with Zelda. So I guess the difference is Zelda bullies her sister to keep her around more, and then there's Hilda who just really wants to be away from her because of how she treats her.
Well, the imagery, again, I think that what they're trying to do is they're trying to make connections to the Catholic Church, because that's clearly a Cain and Abel situation, because you have her creating, you know, a certain dish, and then the godlike figure preferring the other sibling, and so she kills her sister.
The one who is not worthy of his love.
Right. Like that I feel was very purposeful.
They even she put her in the cane pit, which we learn, later that it's what it's called, and that it just kind of goes, huh,
right.
It
Like
leads too well.
that's exactly what they were doing. Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
also, can we just
stuff.
touch on
That's
the
really
weirdness of the principal in that dream?
Oh,
and the whole.
I ate my brother in the womb.
It's just got a face on his belly. Oh.
He's already weird before that. That just made it worse.
Yeah.
Yes.
The whole possession thing with the principal. I'm just like, it can't get weirder from here, can it? But it does.
That scene. The possession when he was like frothing at the mouth. I thought that was so cool.
That was amazing.
Yeah. That scared the crap out of me. I'm sorry. Because I watch on my phone, so I'm like all in it, and it just happens, and I'm like, what? What's happening? That, and when she goes to get the apple, she's in the maze, and then that creature comes after her. Oh my
gosh.
Oh, the scarecrow thingy. Oh man.
Yes.
That was cool, like sympathetic magic that was going on there too. I really liked that scene as well.
Terrified me from scarecrows though.
Yeah.
I mean, they were already scary to begin with, let's be honest.
Yeah.
That's true. There was a movie about that. So you got a point.
Yeah.
Jeepers Creepers.
Oh.
There's Jeepers Creepers, and then there was some other one that some friend of mine talked about, but I can't even remember what that one was called. Oh well.
Jeepers Creepers 2.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I mean, sure, maybe. All I know is it had wings, and it was weird, so maybe it was. I don't know.
Jeepers
It has
Creepers,
to
the
be
thing
Jeepers
had
Creepers.
wings. Yeah.
Yep.
I loved that movie. That was a good horror movie. The first one.
Yeah. But the backstory about the director and everything, right? Which is not part of this podcast, so we'll talk about it later, I guess.
Okay.
Tell me later.
Oh no, somebody else is problematic and I'm gonna hate it.
Welcome to our world.
That happens all the time.
Witchcast.
I think overall, though, I did like the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. And
I
there were things that were problematic, but overall, I liked it. And I mean, they had some great characters. Ambrose, definitely. Susie. They had some representation of people of color. Although, like, are they all magic in some way, with the exception of Harvey?
Kind of seems that way.
Maybe.
Yeah, we didn't really touch on Sabrina's friends and like their I guess abilities or like their connection to this other world.
Mm-hmm.
Harvey, the only human one left.
Well, no, but even he comes from a family of witch hunters.
Of witch hunters,
so,
yeah.
So everybody kind of has their hands in that a little bit.
Especially in the main, what started the coven in this part of this town, because Susie's aunt or great aunt or whatever brings these witches over from Ireland. Harvey's family kills them for their land.
It takes over their home.
Oh, and then her other friend, it was cursed by them.
Yes.
Cursed by a witch, blindness.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Didn't like that.
Yeah, and then blindness comes with the sight.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
It's kind of cheesy.
Yeah, it was lame.
And it was, I don't know. And then she's like, all I want to do is just read a book. And like she couldn't read the book because it was banned. And I was just like, witch, go freaking buy it off Amazon. Like, what's the problem here?
Why didn't she go to Dr. Cerberus's store? Because I'm pretty sure he had it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Amazon.
Store.
Like,
yeah.
Or Amazon, yeah.
Like, I just didn't understand what the point of that was. And then we didn't mention it.
Dramatic.
We didn't mention it, but their little club that's all about girl power was called
Oh, God. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Uh,
I didn't think anyone
Where
was
to
going to
start?
say it, but
It was a little on the nose.
I was actually literally when I told you guys in the first episode that I was like I can't watch it. That was like the moment I turned it off, and my husband was just like, "Turn it off. You can't do this."
But I mean, like, we understand why they called the Woman Empowerment Club Wicca, right? I mean, it's definitely emblematic of second wave feminism.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
but it was kind of.
it was so cheesy.
Yeah.
It was.
I couldn't.
And then she called it like a coven to her aunts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had that moment where I was like, okay, no, I'm turning this off. I can't.
Oh God. I'm the only
Same.
one. But I'm glad I gave it another chance. But still.
I almost turned it off. So close. Kind of glad I didn't.
I think that
Ambrose
I only actually watched
coming
it
back.
you guys.
What?
Ambrose is what kept me coming back.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
From the moment he stepped on screen, he was it. He was enigmatic, and he definitely was someone you wanted to know more about.
Right.
Yeah, agreed.
And he's the voice of reason.
Yeah.
The voice of flippin' reason, it seems.
Yeah.
He's the only one talking about the stabbed warlock, and everybody else is just like, nothing.
Right.
Like, this is dangerous. What happened? And they're like, it's nothing.
Was anyone else kind of suspicious of the boyfriend of the dead warlock that then became Ambrose's boyfriend?
Yeah.
I hate him. I don't trust him.
I feel like he was unnecessary.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It was very unnecessary. It kind of felt like they had a plan for him, and then they were just like, "Oh no, it's just his boyfriend now." Like it seemed like it was going to be some sketchy thing, but it was just
when
like
he
a
first
normal
came in,
relationship.
yes, exactly, sketchy. I thought that my immediate thinking was, oh, he killed this guy.
Yeah.
Right. Same.
Well,
Did he not?
Later,
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Later,
Just like they never talked about it again.
well, later I know that Hilda gave him a love potion, so he definitely changes his actions to be more lovey after that. So that might, I don't know what they're going for.
You might think it's going
but,
to come up at any point later?
I hope so,
No.
because they just kind of left that's a just open plot point.
Yeah,
I don't remember them doing anything with that in this.
They really
I
didn't,
just want
and that
them
was
to get
something
rid
I
of-
really noticed at the end. I was like, well, like what happened with that guy? Like he
Yeah,
just seems
well, here's
normal
the other
now.
thing. The dead warlock, his parents got killed too.
They had a suicide is what it was ruled as, but
Yeah.
But why did that happen? Where did that come from? Like there was just suddenly, oh, they're dead. What?
well, they were
Why?
talking about occult stuff, so maybe that's why. I don't know. It's just like you're just sitting there, dead.
Maybe it's gonna be talked about in the next season, but I don't know. Just the way they left it off, I was like, this seems like they just kind of forgot about it and hoped nobody would notice. I don't know.
Nobody noticed.
Same.
So what do you want to happen in the next season?
Oh, don't even know.
I want so much gas, and not be worried about her personal whatevers. Like I want her to do it for the idea of the individual, not just Sabrina, but kind of blazing forward this other path for people to take. I want it to be about her embracing her witchiness, not entirely inside the religion.
Right. And we see a little bit of that at the end when her hair goes white and she's walking with the Weird Sisters. We're like, yeah, you can see she's made a change.
Like her imprudence, maybe?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I want her to dump Harvey and then date Prudence. That's what I want.
They're already not together, so.
Yeah, and now she just has to date Prudence, and then everything's good.
That's all I want.
Right.
Besides Nick.
All I'm saying is that you can't have a show about witches and not one freaking lesbian couple. Let's be honest.
So true.
Where they at?
I mean, we had a little bit of Volleyball, but no girl.
Yeah, well, I did enjoy that, with Ambrose, they, he's pan, yeah?
Yeah.
I think so.
I really liked that, because I feel like you don't see that really in media at all, and, they set it up in the beginning where, he's dating a guy, so the general assumption when you're watching a show is, okay, well, he's gay. But then they have that scene with Prudence,
and then Nick is very fluid as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, you just see that from when Prudence is the queen of the feast or whatever, and she's at the Spellman house, and then there's this huge sort of orgy thing happening.
Right.
Which is, yeah. So, I mean, they're all kind of fluid.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's like a thing you have to do, though.
All right.
Here's one other thing, just going back to weird plot points, and just because I'm a weirdo like this, Harvey kills his brother, and no one makes mention of how that gets taken care of. Like, are they claiming self-defense, or I mean, because it's obvious he shot him. So, what happened there? Like,
it's obviously Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He shoots him. The dude just evaporates. That's clear.
Done. No. So what are they burying? They went to another funeral home for ashes.
I don't know. I don't know what happened to him. Yeah, that's weird.
I would be curious to find out, honestly.
No, I don't care at all. I hate Harvey and his whole family.
That whole situation with Harvey's brother like really irritated me, like the way that Sabrina handled it.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked that Harvey, like, the one thing that I liked that Harvey did, the one thing, was that he kind of just like did sort of like kind of have Sabrina take a seat. Like he was like, listen, this is not okay, and I can't do this with you right now because like you crossed a line and I'm not going to be okay with it. And then she kind of just had to be like, you know what, you're right. Like I feel like she should have accepted that she made a mistake much earlier on, but what are you going to do?
Right, yeah.
Well, for all of Zelda's strictness, she's not truly a discipliner. Sabrina just kind of does what she wants. And unlike a lot of these teen shows, she actually has adult figures in her life who are very prevalent in her life. And no one's, I mean, yeah, they're saying sit down, you need to sit down right now, but then they just let her get right back up. Okay, whatever.
I mean, I guess that's why she screws up so much.
They're not meant to.
I don't know. Now that we've talked about for an hour why we don't like Sabrina, no, but I really do like it. I loved it. I thought it was dark and fun.
I'm just kidding. I did like it.
Whimsical.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really fun show to watch, and it was fun to get mad at times because it's like you get passionate about the characters and their decisions.
Right. Yeah, that's true. It's true. You love to hate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
What's another thing that I want to happen next season? I want to see more of the Magic School. Look, I love Hogwarts. I just want to see her go to Hogwarts. That's all.
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, seeing more of the school would be really cool.
Right.
I would like that.
That's something that the Magicians did well. Oh my God, I love the Magicians.
Yeah.
Like you want to see the school, you want to see like what happens to them after school. Like, yeah, I'd like to see some of that in Sabrina. I want to see the classes about banishment. I want to see some legit banishing spells or rituals, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I want to see a little bit more about Susie's backstory and all of that and see how that develops. The whole thing with seeing of the spirits and that. I feel like the other friend who, what was it, Roz? Is that her name?
Roz, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I just feel like they didn't develop her enough. Like, I hate to say it and be that person, but I feel like she was just, unlike Ambrose, she was just the friend of color sometimes. Like, she was just there in the background.
Yeah.
There wasn't.
Kinda, yeah.
They didn't really develop her too well. They were just like, she's going blind and she loves books. That's all you need to know.
And she wants to read.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like,
that was
why?
Yeah. That's true.
So that's something that I would love to see more of, maybe develop her a little bit more. She's obviously got some sort of power, so if we're going to use that to bring her more into the story, then let's do that. But she can't just be a background friend. Like, you brought her into the show for a reason, and you can't do that, especially if you are just doing the old trope of having the the background friend who happens to be black.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like they gave Ambrose more of the development, I think.
They definitely did.
Yeah. Because I don't know. I would think, I mean, honestly, I think most characters didn't have a lot of development. I think pretty much only the Spellmans.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I didn't really feel that much with any of the friends, to be honest.
Yeah, because I feel like Rosie was a wonderful character that they could have gone further with, but it was just, it was just, how she's presenting is different. And then in the end, she's like, I wear dresses now and I talk to the dead. Thank you. And you're just like, okay, what?
Oh, wait a minute. When did this happen?
Yeah. So I don't think they really developed anyone, but I agree. I think that they definitely need to not do this tokenizing thing.
I mean, like, there could be room for it. So, like, I'm not, like, going to rule out that maybe in the next season they'll focus on them more. But
I think they will. Yeah, I think that
like,
makes no sense.
I mean, I guess they gave a bit of development to Harvey, but, like, he was the one that
like, who cares?
So you're still going to hate him.
Yeah, for some reason, he's super important on this show.
I hate his face.
Yeah.
They'll fix it all they want, but you won't like him.
Yeah, I won't like him ever. It's just not going to happen.
I'm the only stan of Harvey in here. Feel attacked.
That is true. It's a true fact.
No.
It's okay. I'm starting to like leave him more though, so it's okay.
All right, so we're starting to wind down. We're about to hit the hour mark. So, any last thoughts?
Overall, I think it was a really fun take on a witchy show that was actually a lot less campy than other ones that have existed in the past. Mm-hmm. And I really can't wait to see what they do with it next.
Same. I really love that you could see, like, they sprinkled in some traditional witchcraft and some legit practices, even though it is still Hollywood, because what do you expect? But at the same time, I thought it was refreshing. I liked it. The fact that it was dark was much better than the 90s, like you said, the 90s camp. And I liked it too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I really liked how much horror was in it too.
Mm-hmm.
I just like their real life issues that they sprinkled in on it instead of making it like this doesn't happen. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Enough diversity and everything. I don't know.
Sure. Alrighty, well, anyway, it was really nice talking to you all about Sabrina, and I hope everybody enjoyed the podcast.
Yes. And look for more of them, because we're definitely going to continue to do this, especially if you guys love them. We love doing it.
Yeah, I do. We'll get the other curators. We'll get some other curators to jump in so everybody can meet them too.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
Yay! Bring more in.
Alrighty, well, thank you everyone for listening to Witchcast, our second episode, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.